Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Chronogo bringing you another Cosmonarchy cast. We have another Zerg versus Escozi matchup today, or I should say Escozi versus Zerg if I'm paying deference to the favorite of the matchup. Godwheat in the bottom right is our Vine Green Escozi player, and in the top left we have HippityHoppity, the Vivid Red. Oh, Vermilion Zerg. Sorry, those two are basically the same for me. We do have Arctic Ablution here, which I will note, natural, has double entrance to the natural. Yes, you got to walk all the way down here for this entrance by the third, and this one is a direct ramp into the main rest of the map. So this is a BDB map. It is in our testing ground as I record this, and certainly something that I'm excited to see a couple games on here and there. Expect a lot of new maps in the coming days. We've obviously had a lot of players practicing still on the Class 1 map, still on the good ones that everybody knows and loves, but realistically speaking, we got to see some of these OG ones show up again and have like a little bit of a renaissance, or maybe not even OG, I guess that's not the right word for them, but they're a little bit on the older side, and they just haven't been fully tested, vetted, and decided yet. This one is listed under our slightly experimental category of map because of that double action into the natural expansion. So something that is a little bit out there, but still should be pretty interesting for gameplay. And I guess technically ASL's been doing this for a little bit with Colorless Fate, a map that does have two entrances into the natural. And maybe you could argue that, is it Aeolos? I believe it's called Omicron in our port for Cosmonarchy. But the idea behind that map is that you have like one really big entrance into your main and a very safe natural. That's the sort of remake of Katrina, I guess, if you guys remember that OG map. So that's one of those things where you take a look at it and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's stuff going on, okay. But overall, I would just point out that this map's actually predating that by a pretty considerable margin, the Colorless Fate switch into ASL. So I'm excited for what these players are going to do on this map, if that's even going to come into the picture. Because sometimes you'll have a new feature for a map, and then players will just kind of be slow at adopting them. So we will see. We will see. I will point out that the resource layout for the natural is a little bit awkward, just because the geyser, which is your like high-yield gas node, obviously, is at a diagonal angle. So that can be a little bit hard to harvest efficiently. You're going to need 3 workers a little bit faster on that node. Burrowing right out here outside the ramp. The second Radix is on the way. I haven't really commented on it, but Godwheat's been going for a straight into Gauntlet and then Cosmoscope follow-up. We are going to see the Tirade early on, I think. He is making some Vicars to hold any potential aggression from the Zerg. Vicar slows units on hit, and after a brief delay, they will release a pulse of splash damage. If you know the Terran Cyclops, you can imagine that effect being stuck to the target, but not as damaging. Also, it's worth noting that the splash damage is ally unsafe, so it can be used against the Escozi players if they're going for something like, they're going up against, say, Vorvikors, right? And the Vornath Bond is being made right now by HippityHoppity. I played against HippityHoppity recently in the 2v2 tournament that George ran on the 1st of August. I'm recording this on the 2nd, so welcome to the month of August, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good time to be a Cosmonarch. It really always is, but it only gets better, because our game only gets better. Been working a little bit on some rules for neutral garrisons, which don't feature in this particular map, so I'll talk about them the next time they are on the screen. But right about now, it looks like this landlock is going to have to be canceled. Indeed, Godwheat is going to abandon that. No protective force outside. I wonder if that was because he was worried about this like double entryway or something. It feels a little like he was asleep at the wheel there for a moment, but it could be that he didn't want his army to get super crunched, right? Baby tile? Baby tile? So we do have the Vicar drop. It's not the Tirade play that I thought it was, because the Gauntlet unlocks the Tirade. Instead, it's just going to be a Vicar drop. So we've seen this play on Monazite before, the island map that was in Acropolis 4. It's not something that we're going to have in stage here, it looks like, because of the fact that, this particular drop, it shouldn't do as much damage as on that particular map. But at the same time, it's not as telegraphed, because you don't need to use air. Another emissary scoop, including a pilgrim. What does he do in the pilgrim for, I wonder? Well, this Zerg army has been sort of beaten back, but there's reinforcements coming, which does mean that the drop should be a bit more effective. The next round of units is actually 4 pairs of Naths In theory, they can actually kill Vickers with their splash damage, but it was around a droll as the drop floats in. Now the whole Zerg army returning, try to defend the cluster. Big evacuation here from those workers. The emissary pulling the units closer so that he can speed up those Vickers. It also has the ranged load ability of something like, for example, the Warp Prism from Starcraft 2 is what I always reference. The emissary is going to go down, but the Nats actually take some splash damage in the process, so they might end up having a bad time themselves. Reinforcements coming in. It's a missionary and a pilgrim to unload. I think maybe Godweed had some aspirations to have these two drops hit at the same time, but he didn't hold the first one. If you actually think about Siki, our reigning Acropolis champion as of last weekend, I should say, last Saturday, we had a lovely time checking him out. Piloting his way to victory with the Zerg race. 7-game series against Aoud in the finals. He's really good at posting up some harassment and then not actually pulling the trigger until the perfect time. Or at the very least until a good time. Better than maybe just trying to trickle it in. So there's a chance that maybe if, Godweed had stuck this emissary up here above the natural, he might have been able to sync up with that second one, build a grandstand while the Vickers defended. I don't know if that's what he was planning on doing. It's a possibility. Still, some economic damage was dealt, but Hippity has a far greater economy than the Escozi player does. Godweed slowly, occasionally revealing that Zeth, and now, take a little bit of friendly splash damage, but he did recycle the Zeth corpse. That was less efficient than harvesting minerals directly, but it was about sending a message. Now the Nats are actually on the prowl, not staying for anti-drop, and it looks like with the Escozi army out on the map, we could actually see a pretty big army crush here. HippityHoppity could be finishing this game pretty quickly, it feels like. But he's not currently spread across the map. He doesn't have a great read on where exactly Godweed is. If you look at how far afield he is, though, in the presence of Vorvs, it feels really dangerous. Think about like ZVP and Cosmonarchy, if you've seen that matchup at all. The Zerg being able to catch the Protoss army. This is kind of what you're seeing the recipe for, at the very least, in this matchup. But it does look like Godweed's going to fall back. The Nats taking a more advanced post at 6 o'clock. It's not going to be foolproof in the sense that it's not really going to give Hippity the advance warning if the drop goes another direction. But I kind of like, trying to post up around your opponent for the anti-drop instead of around your own main sometimes. I like the concept of it. I don't know if it's particularly good in this particular situation. So as these Zerg units are sort of hemming and hawing back and forth, it's just, constant contestment of the ground, not giving anything for free. He then contests up here a little bit quick, confirms no third base on the way. The Nats confirm no 6 o'clock. Gonna fly in, see the army still in the exact same position. Very difficult choke point to actually attack into. He's got a couple of Lakes and no detection available for the Escozi right now. Let's see what the 4th race has in store for it. Oh, I said no detection. It looks like maybe some leftover shots still ended up working out. Now Hippity trying to take advantage of his army size, but the choke point is turning against him in a huge way. He does kill the worker making the arch, but then he abandoned his Lakes just enough time for Godweed to see what he could do to step on top of it and reveal it, and there you go. All of those Lakes going down. Almost losing his Vicar for it. Definitely a better army trade for the Escozi. But again, look, we got 52 workers here for our Zerg player. It's 30 workers for Godweed, and it's not rising as fast as you would really want it to. To me, this feels like, okay, the Nathicors are floating in. They're going to see what they can do against the proscenium building dyads, maybe. Also, the Aphorists don't attack up, so actually nothing here attacks up. Even the Mimic can only attack up if something else that attacks up can actually help. Oh, you're beset upon by flying Zerglings. What do? Well, he's got some Vickers up here that he could obviously send across, but oh man, that splash damage could be a problem. Mimic gonna go ahead and consume the corpse at the very least for healing. That's changed in the modern version of Cosmonarchy after Acropolis 4. Our initial balance adjustments have gone to pre-release for testing. I'll probably need to start making those like balance update videos. They can take so much time to actually do, but if you guys are interested in a little rundown of post-Acropolis changes, even if it's just me going, hi, I'm Protogo. I'm going to read the patch notes for you and explain some stuff, and maybe have some stuff on screen. Maybe. If that sounds like it would still be beneficial, do let me know. Some Ultra Cores coming, Lake is as well, so we are going to get more of that frontline tankiness that the Zerg crave. The Ultracore is going to go for the attack. I mean, it's still looking a little bit dicey because of the slow from the Vickers. The right click from Godwheat is there for target selection, but I don't know if he's quite got enough splash damage to handle everything else. Blake is starting to absolutely puncture that front line. The Cardinals have kept so much of the Escozi alive for so damn long. A little bit of a missed burrow there for a moment, but Hippity still able to crush on through. It looked like, honestly, with the Cardinals on the left-hand side flank, is constantly giving that healing back. There was a chance there that Godwheat could have maybe clutched that fight up, but the reinforcing Ultracores, again, the economy for a Zerg player is still huge. Despite his 9 idle Droleth, he's got a steep lead over his opponent right now. It's like a 16 worker lead, and then it'll become a lot more once he actually sends his workers to mine. Canceling out the third base with the 3 Ultracores. Sure, this one gets killed for little contest, but you can kind of, not that you want to, of course, but you can kind of afford throwing away Ultracores at this point in time. There's a buttload of Zerg still waiting to be made. Gorgacores, and of course the Zozark Gorge, the final upgrade for the Shroud and Cavern. Third stage evolution. Well, speaking of third, we do have the Conduit coming up here, which is going to allow tier 3 for the Escozi. He's only on 2 Proscenium, I'll make it 3 Prosceniums, but hasn't actually been able to steadily produce out of it. Again, his economy hasn't been grand. Looks like he has triple saturated the Geyser at the very least, so recognizing that he needs that extra worker there. And he really is trying to set this third base up. But I will point out, just like his natural was canceled earlier by a Zeth walk-in, it does feel like the Ultracores being able to walk in here and like none of the military for the Escozi ever being in a position to help out. There's been so many times where that third base has just been eaten up for free. Even if it wasn't actually being made, Hippity just had the position for it. A couple Vicar pulls to try to keep his men alive. Well, so far, it might be working out to consolidate them, but remember that splash damage is actually unfriendly. And as Hippity is roaring forward with a horde of Quas, his Zarkavra are almost done hatching, and they've likely been rallied into, yep, that natural. The Ultracore's descending. I think this would be enough to call the game anyway. Gordon are out, and they're going to try their best to try to punish the Ultracores, but the Zarks are here, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't even think Godwheat knows. He's too busy trying to defend his third base. And I think this is going to be a wrap. GG, Hippity has taken a game against the Escozi after all. Hey, pretty cool to see Hippity finding victory. I mentioned that I played against him earlier. It's something that is a rare benefit of homies out there, right? Because not very many players can say that they've actively played against me in the recent history. I don't play the game very often. I'm busy making the game. But maybe I'll be playing a little bit more often if other people are organizing the tournaments. I'll put it to you that way. So shout out George for that 2v2 one. It was pretty fun. Now, we do have Godwheat versus HippityHoppity in the bag. We got more content coming tomorrow, so subscribe if you're not already. And if you look for a donation link, streamlabs.com/chronogo, a great way to support the project's initiative towards our competitive side. And any money that's spent from donors on the competitive side is money I don't have to spend, which inadvertently directly supports all of the other initiatives like the campaigns and all the unit development and all that cool stuff. So really, any way you slice it, it's a good idea. GG's, and we'll be back tomorrow with more Cosmonarchy.